A lot of people think of translation as a simple process where you input words in one language and output equivalent words in another. If there are two drastically different translations of a text, that means one of them has to be wrong, right? Mistakes do happen, but two very good translators might end up in completely different places. Sometimes there isn't a direct equivalent word, or there's multiple meanings, or there isn't a clean way to express all of the original context. And often, even when you translate the direct meaning, the implicit meaning is completely different. Even words as black and white as well, black and white, can mean completely different things symbolically. Traditionally, white is a color of mourning in China and Japan. In ancient Egypt, black was a color of fertility due to the silt deposited by the Nile. It's important to look beyond the words themselves and get to the heart of what's being communicated. Even if the dictionary says you're doing a great job, the actual meaning and experience of the text is completely different when you translate directly. If a word was being used symbolically, swapping it out for something with similar associations can actually get the point across better than a direct translation. One of my favorite words to translate is otemba. If you look up otemba, most dictionaries tell you it means tomboy. But when you actually write tomboy in a translation, everyone is confused. Close your eyes and picture a tomboy. What do you see? Did you imagine this? Otemba are girls that are free, energetic, often reckless, and not particularly graceful. Saying tomboy adds a lot of new Western implications, and the reverse is also true. A Japanese person seeing tomboy translated to otemba might think of the vigorous energy of a boy, not their appearance. Hi, this is Editing Lean. In the time I've been working on this video, the article I screenshotted to show how that confusion goes both ways actually added a correction. Now it explains that tomboy is more about how you present yourself and being generally boyish rather than just the energetic vibe. And really this is exactly what I mean. When you look at a dictionary, it just says tomboy, it doesn't say any of that. Why are we treating this like it's a direct equivalent word? It's really confusing. I don't understand why we can't have this more detailed description in every definition. Otemba is noted to be extremely similar to the word jajauma, literally unruly horse, or for people, stubborn bitch. The words are nearly interchangeable, with the main difference being jajauma don't listen or take advice well. As an aside, while they definitely can be offensive, and certainly carried that meaning in the past, a lot of people find otemba and jajauma charming. Many people call themselves and friends otemba affectionately, so please don't think these are horrible oppressive terms. Despite meaning practically the same thing, if you look at translations of jajauma, you'll probably see the word shrew, because jajauma narashi is the Japanese title of taming of a shrew. But no one would ever mix up shrew and tomboy, which gives you an idea of how much can be lost during translation. No matter how good of a translator you are, context will be lost and implications will change. That's why nearly every word has multiple valid translations depending on the context. Normally, I would use a word like lively or overenthusiastic, but when translating Otemba Hour by Bashao Kaede, I opted to use the word girl failure. Now why would I do something like that? Well, this particular song is about owning the Otemba traits that cause girls to constantly mess up and screw themselves over. So for this song, changing slang meaning a girl who's constantly failing to girl failure made a lot of sense. It does beg the question though, why translate Otemba at all? Why not just explain it with a translation note? Simply put, it depends on your audience. I translate the same text for mainstream media versus an anime fan versus an anthropology student completely differently. It's fine to make changes so long as they fit your intended audience. A lot of anime subs keep honorifics and other basic things in because they know viewers want that context. But like it or not, a lot of people aren't interested in media with a bunch of translation notes. Some might have, dubious reasons for not wanting foreign cultures in their media, but some just want to turn their brains off after a long day and bask in familiar things. There's nothing wrong with that. This is where localization, making changes that appeal to a new audience, comes into play. Counterintuitively, these changes actually help bridge the cultural gap. Yes, they would learn more if it was kept close to its original state, but it gets a lot of people interested who otherwise wouldn't be consuming media from other countries at all. It's a really great way to foster curiosity. I started with dubs. Look at me now. Speaking of which, I know old anime dubs get a lot of flack for their, liberal use of localization, but honestly, I can't really blame them. Anime was new here. It would be many kids' first exposure to any kind of Asian media ever. They didn't know how audiences would react, so the safest choice to get people interested was to make them as close to Western cartoons as possible. And it turned out that fear was 100% justified, because any anime fan growing up in the US in the late 2000s could tell you, as soon as they started being seen as anime, and not just cartoons in a different font, liking it became a social death sentence. I see you kids now with your Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. Do you know how lucky you are? Good for you, honestly. Obviously, kids back then weren't gonna combust at the sight of chopsticks. Asian-inspired media had been around for a while. But if Chinese restaurant syndrome taught us anything, it's that people enjoying something as an exotic spectacle does not mean they respect it. Even a ridiculous reason to turn on something is often enough. And you know what? If it had been a visual novel or something, Brock's infamous jelly donuts would be a totally fine localization. It's a portable snack food with a filling. The problem was just, that they look like that. But what do you think? Do you prefer strong localizations or more direct, note-heavy translations? I'm open discussion, just be normal about it, please.